A bullet shatters Darius Kang's wine glass. 5 armed attackers storm the restaurant, and his waitress, the woman he's been secretly protecting for 8 months, reveals herself as a lethal former Special Forces operator. In a hail of gunfire and shattered secrets, she saves his life, only to discover he's known her true identity all along. Now, with a traitor in his inner circle and her witness protection blown wide open, they must decide whether to run from their dangerous pasts or stand together and fight back. The first bullet shattered the wine glass in Darius Kang's hand before anyone heard the gunshot. Glass exploded across the white tablecloth as 5 men in black tactical gear burst through La Lumiere's entrance, automatic weapons raised. The restaurant erupted into chaos. Customers screamed, diving under tables as chairs toppled and silverware clattered to the marble floor. Darius's 2 bodyguards reached for their weapons, but the attackers were faster. The bodyguard on the left took 3 rounds to the chest before his gun cleared its holster. The second managed 1 shot before a spray of bullets tore through his shoulder and neck, sending him crashing into the sommelier's station. Darius flipped the heavy oak table onto its side, crouching behind it as wood splintered above his head. His shoulder burned where a bullet had grazed him, blood seeping through his tailored shirt. Through the chaos, he caught a glimpse of something impossible. His waitress, the woman who'd served him every Thursday night for the past 8 months, wasn't running. She was moving toward the danger. Sienna Hayes had dropped her serving tray the moment the door exploded inward. Her body shifted into a stance she'd sworn she'd never use again, muscle memory overriding 3 years of forced civilian life. The nearest attacker, a stocky man with a dragon tattoo snaking up his neck, swung his rifle toward a family huddled in the corner. Sienna grabbed a metal serving tray from a fallen cart and hurled it like a discus. It caught the man across the face with a sickening crack, buying her 3 seconds. She closed the distance before he could recover, driving her knee into his solar plexus and ripping the rifle from his hands as he doubled over. 1 precise strike to his temple with the weapon stock and he crumpled. Sienna's hands moved through the rifle's mechanics automatically, checking the chamber, flicking off the safety. For targets remaining. The restaurant's layout mapped itself in her mind. 17 civilians, 6 pillars providing cover, 3 exits. The kitchen door was 12 feet behind her. "Get down," she screamed at a couple frozen near the bar. They dropped as bullets chewed through the mahogany where their heads had been. The second attacker had spotted her now, his eyes widening in recognition or shock. He shouted something in Korean, repositioning to get a clear shot. Sienna kicked a chair into his path and dove behind a marble pillar as return fire chased her movement. Chunks of stone exploded, dust filling her lungs. She could hear Darius returning fire from behind his overturned table, the sharp crack of a pistol cutting through the automatic weapon fire. "Sienna," he shouted, his voice carrying that same warmth it always did, even now. Even bleeding and pinned down. "Kitchen exit, go." She'd never told him her real name. He shouldn't know her real name. The realization hit her like cold water, but there was no time to process it. The third attacker was flanking left, trying to get an angle on Darius's position. Sienna burst from cover, firing 2 controlled shots. 1 missed. The second caught the man in the thigh, and he went down hard, his weapon skittering across the floor. Movement from the entrance. The 4th and 5th attackers had taken defensive positions behind the hostess stand, laying down suppressive fire while civilians sobbed and prayed. Sienna's combat awareness kicked into overdrive, that old familiar clarity she'd thought she'd lost. Time seemed to stretch. She could see the pattern of their fire, the slight delay as they coordinated their reload timing. Amateur hour, but deadly enough in a confined space. She grabbed a white tablecloth from a nearby table and threw it over the chandelier above the attacker's position, then put 2 rounds into the crystal fixture. It exploded in a shower of glass and sparks, the tablecloth catching fire and dropping like a flaming curtain. The attackers flinched, ducking, and Sienna used their distraction to sprint toward the bar. Behind the counter, she found what she was looking for, the shotgun every smart restaurant kept for emergencies. She checked the load. For shells. She pumped one into the chamber and rose up, firing at the burning chandelier's chain. It crashed down onto the hostess stand, forcing the two attackers to scatter. One rolled right, toward the windows. The other broke left, directly into Darius's line of fire. Darius didn't hesitate. 3 shots, center mass. The attacker stumbled backward, crashed through a decorative screen, and didn't move again. The last man, the one who'd gone right, was on his feet now and charging straight at Sienna with a combat knife. His rifle must have jammed or run empty. She dropped the shotgun and grabbed a wine bottle from the bar's speed rail, barely getting it up in time to block his downward stab. Glass shattered, wine exploding across both of them. He was fast, well-trained, slashing in a pattern meant to overwhelm. Sienna gave ground, letting him think he was winning, drawing him away from the civilians still cowering in the dining room. Her heel hit the kitchen door, and she fell backward through it, the attacker following. She hit the floor hard, rolled, came up near the prep station. He lunged again, and she grabbed a cast-iron skillet from the stovetop, still hot from the evening service. She swung it like a baseball bat, connecting with his knife hand. Bones cracked. The knife clattered away. Before he could scream, she brought the skillet around again, catching him across the jaw. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. Silence fell, broken only by distant sirens and the crackle of the dying fire in the dining room. Sienna's hands were shaking now, adrenaline crash beginning. She leaned against the stainless steel counter, trying to remember how to breathe like a normal person. Through the kitchen's porthole window, she could see Darius standing slowly, one hand pressed to his bleeding shoulder, his gun still raised and ready. His eyes found hers through the glass. Darius pushed through the kitchen door, his expensive suit jacket dark with blood. His gun hung loose in his right hand, but his eyes were sharp, assessing. He looked at Sienna, then at the unconscious man at her feet, then back at her. His expression was unreadable. "Lieutenant Sienna Hayes," he said quietly. "Formerly of the Army's 5th Special Forces Group. Dishonorably discharged 18 months ago after testifying against General Marcus Webb. Currently in witness protection under the name Sienna Mitchell." He paused, wincing as he adjusted his grip on his shoulder. "Did I miss anything?" Sienna's blood went cold. She'd been so careful. 3 years of looking over her shoulder, of being nobody, of serving coffee and pretending she didn't know 17 ways to kill someone with her bare hands. "How long have you known?" "Since the day you started working here." Darius moved to the sink, turning on the cold water with his good hand. "I own this restaurant, Sienna. I own half the buildings on this block. You think I don't vet every person who works for me?" He splashed water on his face, the blood diluting and swirling down the drain. "I knew who you were before you filled out the application." "Then why?" Her voice cracked. She steadied it. "Why let me stay?" He turned to face her fully, and something in his expression made her chest tighten. It wasn't anger or calculation. It was something softer, more dangerous. Because 3 years ago, in Kandahar province, a firefight broke out near the civilian market. My younger brother, Gene, was there on business. Wrong place, wrong time. He was pinned down, separated from his security team. A female army lieutenant got him out. Took a bullet in the process, carried him 2 blocks to safety, stayed with him until the medics arrived. Darius's dark eyes held hers. "He described you perfectly. Your eyes, your voice, the way you moved. I've been looking for you ever since." Sienna's mind reeled back to that day. The heat, the dust, the young Korean man in the wrong clothes clutching his briefcase like a lifeline. She'd gotten him out because that's what you did. You didn't leave people behind. She'd spent 2 weeks in medical for that bullet, gotten a commendation she'd never cared about, and moved on. "Gene," she whispered. I remember Gene. He kept apologizing in 3 languages. He wanted to thank you. Tried to find you through official channels, but the army stonewalled him. Privacy concerns. Darius smiled, but it was pained. When you disappeared into witness protection, I used every resource I had to locate you. Not to hurt you. To help you. To keep you safe. Safe? Sienna laughed, a harsh sound. You're a mafia boss, Darius. Your life is the opposite of safe. I'm aware. He moved closer, each step deliberate. I set you up with this job. Made sure the owner hired you. Made sure you had good shifts, good tips. I came here every Thursday because it was the only way I could see you without compromising your protection. I never intended to. He stopped, jaw working. I never meant to feel this way. The kitchen felt too small suddenly. Sienna could smell gun smoke and spilled wine and something underneath it, his cologne, familiar from all those Thursday nights. Feel what way? Don't make me say it. His voice dropped lower. Not here. Not now. Not when I've put you in more danger than you've ever been in. Sirens were getting closer. Sienna forced herself to think tactically. Those men. They weren't random. They knew exactly where you'd be. The Chong family has been trying to eliminate me for 2 years. But they're timing tonight. Darius's face hardened. Someone told them I'd be here. Someone close to me. How close? Close enough to know my schedule. Close enough to know I always request your section. He pulled out his phone with his good hand, thumb hovering over the screen. I need to make a call. My people need to secure the scene before the police get here. No. Sienna grabbed his wrist. You call your people. You contaminate the evidence. You make yourself look guilty. Let the police come. Let them process the scene properly. You don't understand how this works. I understand exactly how this works. I testified against a 3-star general with connections to every criminal organization from here to Istanbul. I know what happens when you try to clean up your own mess. She held his gaze. Trust me. For once, just trust someone. Something flickered across his face. Vulnerability, maybe. Or hope? If I do this your way, if I let the police investigate, I'm exposed. My organization is exposed. People I care about become targets. They're already targets, Darius. Tonight proved that. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression went cold. It's James. My second in command. He says he's mobilizing teams to sweep for the attackers' backup units. Let me see. Sienna took the phone, reading the message. Her training kicked in, analyzing the language patterns, the timing. This is wrong. Look at the timestamp. He sent this 2 minutes before the attack started. Darius went very still. That's not possible. Unless he knew it was coming. Sienna scrolled through the message history. Does he always text you during meetings? Does he always know exactly where you are? He's been with me for 8 years. He's family. Family betrays you fastest when there's enough money involved. She found what she was looking for, a thread of messages from earlier that day. Innocuous on the surface, but the pattern was clear. He's been tracking your location. Feeding information to someone. Look at this one, sent yesterday, Thursday night, usual spot, 8 p.m. That's not a report. That's a schedule. Darius took the phone back, his hand trembling slightly. Not from the wound. From rage. James watched me grow up. He was there when my father died. When Jean was born. When I took over the family business. And now he's trying to kill you. Sienna's voice was gentle. I'm sorry. I know what betrayal feels like. His phone buzzed again. Another message from James. Boss, where are you? Need confirmation you're safe. Police are incoming. We need to extract you now. Darius looked at Sienna, and in his eyes she saw the same thing she'd felt when General Webb's conspiracy had unraveled around her. The moment when you realize everything you believed was built on lies. Don't respond, Sienna said. Not yet. If he thinks you're dead or incapacitated, he'll make a move. Show his hand. And if he sends more people to finish the job, then we'll be ready. She grabbed a kitchen towel, moving toward him. Let me see that shoulder. Darius hesitated, then shrugged out of his jacket. The bullet had carved a furrow through the meat of his shoulder, painful but not life-threatening. Sienna pressed the towel against it, applying pressure. He inhaled sharply but didn't pull away. They were close now, closer than they'd ever been during all those careful Thursday dinners. She could feel his breath on her hair, the heat radiating from his body. "Why did you come every week?" she asked quietly, keeping her hands steady on his wound. "You could have just watched from a distance. Kept me safe without getting involved." "I tried that for the first month." His good hand came up, hovering near her waist, but not quite touching. "Didn't work. Every time I saw you smile at customers, every time I watched you handle drunk idiots with grace, every time you brought me coffee exactly how I like it without asking." He stopped, swallowed hard. "I told myself it was gratitude. For saving Jean. But gratitude doesn't keep you awake at night. Doesn't make you rearrange your entire schedule around one dinner a week." Sienna's hands stilled. "Darius, we can't. I know. Your life, my life, they don't mix. I've told myself that 1,000 times. His voice was rough. "Doesn't change how I feel when you walk into a room. Doesn't change the fact that watching you fight tonight was the most terrifying and beautiful thing I've ever seen." She looked up at him, and the expression on his face made her heart stutter. In 3 years of hiding, of being small and invisible and safe, no one had looked at her like this. Like she was something precious and dangerous and worth burning the world down for. "I left that life behind," she whispered. "The fighting, the violence. I just wanted to be normal. You saved 17 people tonight. You saved me." His hand finally made contact, settling on her hip with a gentle possessiveness. "That's not normal, Sienna. That's extraordinary." The kitchen door burst open. Both of them spun, Sienna's hand going for the gun she'd tucked into her waistband, Darius raising his pistol. A young man in a police uniform stood in the doorway, weapon drawn, eyes wide. "Hands. Let me see your hands." Sienna raised hers slowly, the gun visible in her waistband. "I'm the one who called it in. The attackers are neutralized. This man is a victim. He was defending himself." The officer's radio crackled with cross-chatter. More units arriving, establishing perimeter. His eyes started between them, taking in the blood, the unconscious attacker on the floor, the weapons. "Both of you on the ground now. Officer, listen to me." Sienna kept her voice calm, authoritative. "My name is Sienna Hayes. I'm a protected witness under the DOJ's WITSEC program. My handler is Agent Sarah Chin, out of the Los Angeles field office. The man with me is Darius Kang. He was the target of an assassination attempt. We're both cooperating fully," I said on the ground. Darius shifted, positioning himself slightly in front of Sienna. "Don't point that weapon at her. She just saved lives. Your life, probably. There could be more attackers outside." The officer's hand shook. He was young, maybe 25, probably his first real shooting scene. Sienna recognized the look, the adrenaline dump, the training fighting against panic. She lowered herself to her knees slowly, hands visible. Darius followed her lead, grimacing as the movement pulled at his shoulder wound. More officers poured in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Sienna and Darius were separated, cuffed with zip ties, led to different parts of the restaurant. As they pulled Sienna toward the dining room, she craned her neck to keep Darius in sight. He was talking to a detective, gesturing toward the bodies, his face a mask of controlled calm. But his eyes found hers across the chaos, and in them she saw a promise. This wasn't over. The next 4 hours were a blur of questions, statements, evidence collection. The FBI arrived, then Sienna's handler, Agent Chin, a sharp woman in her 40s who looked like she wanted to strangle Sienna and hug her simultaneously. 3 years, Chin hissed as they sat in a commandeered office. 3 years of perfect behavior, and you blow your cover in the most spectacular way possible. There's footage, Sienna. Security cameras caught everything. You taking down armed attackers like you're in an action movie. It's already spreading online. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You could have hidden. Could have run. Instead, you engaged 5 armed hostiles in a civilian environment. Chin rubbed her temples. General Webb's people are going to see this. They're going to know exactly where you are. Webb is in prison. His organization isn't. And now they know you're not just a waitress anymore. Chin leaned forward. We need to move you. New city, new identity, new life. Tonight. No. The word came out harder than Sienna intended. I'm done running. That's not how this works. You don't get to opt out of protection. I'm opting out of hiding. Sienna met her handler's eyes. Webb's people have known where I am for months. They had to. There's no other explanation for tonight's attack being so precisely timed. Someone inside your organization leaked my location. Chen's face went pale. That's a serious accusation. It's the only explanation that makes sense. The attackers weren't just after Darius. They knew I'd be there. Knew I'd intervene. This was designed to flush me out, to make me show my skills on camera, to paint a target on my back. Sienna leaned back in her chair. Which means my cover was already blown. Running again won't help. Chin stared at her for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. I need to make some calls. Don't move. Don't talk to anyone. Especially don't talk to Darius Kang. She paused at the door. I mean it, Sienna. That man is dangerous in ways you can't understand. I understand perfectly, Sienna said quietly. But Chin was already gone. 20 minutes later, a different detective entered. Older, gray at the temples, with tired eyes that had seen too much. Miss Hayes. I'm Detective Park. I need to ask you some follow-up questions about your relationship with Darius Kang. Something in his tone made her wary. What kind of relationship? The kind where you're working security for a known organized crime figure. Where you've been embedded in his favorite restaurant for 8 months, playing waitress while actually serving as his personal bodyguard. Park sat down across from her, placing a folder on the table. We've been investigating Kang's operations for 2 years. Money laundering, racketeering, extortion. Tonight gave us probable cause to dig deeper into his associates. Imagine our surprise when we discover one of his people is a former Special Forces operator in witness protection. I'm not one of his people. I didn't even know who he was until tonight. Really? Because our surveillance footage shows him requesting your section every single week. Shows you two having lengthy conversations. Shows a familiarity that goes beyond server and customer. Park opened the folder, revealing surveillance photos. Darius arriving at the restaurant. Darius sitting at her table. One photo captured them both, Sienna laughing at something he'd said, her guard completely down. This looks like a relationship to me. Sienna's stomach tightened. You've been watching him for 2 years, and you let tonight's attack happen? Where were your people when 5 men walked in with automatic weapons? Park's jaw clenched. We had an officer positioned across the street. He was found unconscious in his vehicle 10 minutes before the attack. Someone knew our surveillance schedule. Someone on your end, then. Because I guarantee Darius didn't know about your surveillance or he wouldn't have kept coming. She leaned forward. Detective, I saved lives tonight. Including your officers, probably. Those attackers weren't planning to leave witnesses. Instead of interrogating me, you should be asking yourself who inside your department is feeding information to the Chong family. You're deflecting. I'm telling you the truth. But you're too focused on Darius to see the real conspiracy. She pulled out the memory she'd been holding back, the detail that had been bothering her. The lead attacker, the one who escaped. He had a police radio on his belt. Not a scanner. An actual department-issue radio. I saw it when he ran past me. Park went very still. You're certain? I spent 3 years in Special Forces identifying equipment. I know the difference between civilian and law enforcement gear. She held his gaze. Someone inside your department isn't just leaking information. They're actively helping the Chong family. And if you don't figure out who, Darius won't be the only one bleeding out in a restaurant next time. The detective stood abruptly, gathering his folder. Don't leave town, Miss Hayes. We'll have more questions. He left, his radio already at his lips, calling for his lieutenant. Sienna was alone for maybe 3 minutes before the door opened again. This time it was Darius. His shoulder was properly bandaged now, his arm in a sling, but his presence filled the room the same way it always had. Controlled power, sharp intelligence, and something else. Something that made her pulse quicken despite everything. They're releasing us, he said. Agent Chin vouched for you. My lawyer vouched for me. We're free to go, with the usual don't leave town restrictions. You're second in command. James. What are you going to do about him? Darius's expression went cold. What I should have done the moment I suspected betrayal. But not tonight. Tonight, I need to make sure you're safe. I can take care of myself. I know. I watched you do exactly that. He moved closer, and Sienna found herself standing to meet him. But Webb's people know where you are now. The Chong family knows you're connected to me. James knows you're a threat to whatever plan he's executing. You have targets on your back from 3 different directions. So do you. I've had targets on my back since I was 16 and my father died, leaving me to run his empire. I know how to survive this world, Sienna. You shouldn't have to. His good hand reached up, fingers brushing her cheek with devastating gentleness. Come with me. Let me protect you properly. Not from a distance, not through surveillance and arrangements. Let me keep you safe. By taking me into your world? The violence, the crime, everything I walked away from. By giving you a choice for the first time in 3 years. His thumb traced her jaw. Stay with me, and I'll help you end this. We'll expose whoever leaked your location. We'll deal with James. We'll eliminate the threats one by one until you can finally stop looking over your shoulder. Or I'll disappear from your life completely. Give you back the quiet existence you wanted. Your call, Sienna. But make it now, because we don't have much time. She should say no. Should walk away, let Agent Chin relocate her, start over somewhere else. That was the smart choice, the safe choice. But safety hadn't found her in 3 years of hiding. Violence had found her instead, in the form of 5 men with guns and a man who looked at her like she was worth fighting for. I'm tired of running, she said finally. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of pretending to be someone I'm not. Then don't. Darius's forehead touched hers, his breath warm against her lips. Be exactly who you are. Dangerous, brilliant, extraordinary. Be the woman who saves lives and takes down criminals and makes my heart stop every time she walks into a room. Be with me, and we'll burn down everyone who threatens you. Together. Sienna closed the distance between them, kissing him hard enough to erase 3 years of loneliness and fear. His good arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer, and for the first time since she'd entered witness protection, she felt something other than numb. She felt alive. She felt seen. She felt like herself. When they finally broke apart, Darius was smiling, that rare, genuine expression she'd only glimpsed a handful of times. Is that a yes? That's a let's go deal with your treacherous second-in-command before I change my mind. She grabbed her jacket from the chair. And Darius? Next time you want to protect me, just ask. Don't buy the restaurant and manipulate my employment. Communication. It's a thing. He laughed, the sound surprised and warm. Noted. Though in my defense, would you have said yes 8 months ago if I'd walked up and said, I'm a crime boss and I'd like to keep you safe? Absolutely not. Then my method worked perfectly. They walked out of the police station together into the pre-dawn darkness. Somewhere in the city, James was waiting, thinking his plan had succeeded. Webb's people were mobilizing, preparing to finish what they'd started 3 years ago. The Chong family was regrouping, planning their next move. Sienna should be terrified. Instead, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years, ready. Darius's car was waiting at the curb, a sleek black sedan with bulletproof glass. His driver, an older Korean man with scars on his knuckles, opened the door. Darius helped Sienna inside, sliding in beside her. As the car pulled away from the station, his hand found hers in the darkness, fingers intertwining. "No more Thursday dinners," she said softly. "No more pretending we're just customer and server. Whatever this is, we do it honestly. No secrets." "No secrets," he agreed. "Starting with this, I've been in love with you since the 3rd week you served me coffee. You have this way of tilting your head when you're thinking, and you did it while trying to remember my order, and I was finished. Completely gone." Sienna turned to look at him, seeing vulnerability in his eyes that matched the fear and hope tangled in her chest. "That's terrifying." "Terrifying," he echoed. "But worth it. You're worth it." The car drove through empty streets toward whatever came next. Betrayal, violence, conspiracy. But also possibility. Also partnership. Also this unexpected, impossible thing growing between them. Sienna had spent 3 years believing her life was over, that she'd lost everything that mattered. Tonight she discovered she'd only been waiting. For the right moment. For the right reason to stop hiding. For him. "James first," she said, squeezing Darius's hand. "Then Webb's people. Then we figure out how a former Special Forces operator and a Mafia boss make a relationship work. In that order?" Darius smiled. "I can work with that." "Good. Because I have a plan. And it starts with you sending James a message. Tell him you're alive, you're safe, and you need to meet him. Somewhere private. Somewhere we can control. You want to trap him. I want answers. About who he's working with, who he sold you out to, how deep this goes." And then Sienna's voice hardened with old training, old instincts awakening. "Then we eliminate the threat. Permanently. No mercy for people who betray family." Darius pulled her closer with his good arm, kissing her temple. "Dangerous, brilliant, extraordinary. I wasn't wrong about you." "Neither was I," she whispered back. "About you." The sun was rising over Los Angeles as the car disappeared into the city, carrying 2 people who'd found each other in violence and blood and impossible circumstances. Their story was just beginning, written in gunfire and loyalty and a love that refused to stay hidden. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. No more running. No more pretending. Just truth and fury and the fierce determination to survive. The end.